Dating Jaimie for 2 months felt both like forever and a blink. Her house had become a familiar landscape of creaks and hums, but instead of comfort, it stirred a constant unease in the pit of my stomach, like the house itself was watching. Something was wrong. Jaimie's mom, always so easygoing, winked as she left us alone again. "Don't steal anything," she joked. But the old house didn't find any humor in her words, its silence pressing heavily around me. The staircase loomed, a shadowy column connecting the mundane living room to whatever lurked beneath the house's surface. The faulty light above the stairs only flickered, casting long, dancing shadows that played tricks on my eyes. "Why don't your entryway or stairs lights work?" I'd asked Jaimie once. Her shrug, "They do, but only for a day tops, we don't know why," settled in me like a cold draft. I needed to pee. A small, stupid courage test boys give themselves, sprinting up shaky stairs in the dark. I forced my feet to move faster than my nerves wanted. The wood complained under my weight. The scent of lemon cleaner and something older, oil and dust, and the ghost of cedar thick in the air. I slammed the bathroom door, did my business, and almost laughed at my own jittery hands until the sound at the far end of the hall made me stop. Maxwell was at the top of those steps like he always was at night, a compact, fluffy Pomeranian who had the heart of a guard dog. His name should have reassured me. What came from him was not reassuring. It was wrong too low, too wet, a rumble I had no right to expect from a dog that weighed less than my backpack. It sounded like a Rottweiler's grievance, translated into a throat fit for an animal 3 times his size. "Max, it's just me," I shouted, and the word "me" skidded into the dark. The growl didn't finish. It turned toward the bedroom. Max always slept up there at this hour, chest rising and falling like a tiny bell. I told myself it was an echo. I told myself 1,000 things. Then, a car door slammed outside. Real, ordinary sounds, like a promise. Jaimie was home. Relief is an odd color, brighter than fear, thinner. I let it lean against me. I brought the remote down to flatten the noise into something manageable. I rented Sinister because it matched the static in my head, and because fear, real or filmed, felt like something you could control by pressing stop. She came through the front door, hair still damp, jacket slung over one shoulder. My sentence, "Babe, your damn dog is acting really," left my mouth like a thrown stone. She turned toward me, and I froze. In her arms sat Maxwell, all fluff and dim eyes, being rearranged like a possessed doll. "He was at my cousin's," she said, dropping the name into the space between us. They were watching him today. She laughed at something small and private and set the dog down like gravity had never been misapplied. For a second, my lungs betrayed me. I had heard growling when Maxwell wasn't there. I had heard something that didn't belong to the house or to any animal that fit its occupants. I swallowed the sentence back into my throat and let the comedy show keep talking while the house listened with us. I avoided the stairs after that night, not because I was brave, I wasn't, but because you learn to negotiate with fear. You pick a route and you do not stray from it. Jaimie shifted her visits to my place, at my insistence at first, then at hers. She said it was easier, more peaceful, and I believed her, because peace was a commodity we traded for the silence between us. Weeks after Maxwell died in his sleep. 13 years is a respectable age for a dog, fragile and dignified. The conversation returned, smaller, more private. We were coiled under a blanket, the TV long since muted, the room lit by the television's soft afterglow. Since I was 3, she began without looking at me, voice a flat line across the cushions. I used to think it was Maxwell growling at me in the middle of the night, just outside the bathroom door. She hesitated, and the pause felt like a hinge. But now, he's dead. Her fingers found mine and squeezed in a way that was steady and terrifying. It's still happening, only now it's coming from my closet. Her hand tightened. I wanted to tell her that closets could be full of coats, full of the past, full of knobbing hangers. I wanted to tell her that sounds come from the house at night because houses breathe and settle and remember. But the truth, the simple, childish truth I couldn't shake, sat in the space between us like a small animal. The thing that had been at the top of those stairs wasn't the dog. It had learned where human skin makes the most noise, and it had settled into the house like a habit. We never opened that closet together. We left the lights off and let the dark be a closing door. Some nights, when I left in the early dark and she walked me to the curb, I'd look back at the high slanting windows of her room and see a shadow move where one should not. Once, very late, I heard a scratch. 2 fingers dragging along wood, right above the spot where Maxwell used to sleep. People say grief is a private thing. If grief is private, then fear is communal. The house kept both for us, a hoarder of little noises and smaller truths. I sleep now with my curtains half open and the back porch light on, because light negotiates with the dark, and sometimes the dark needs witnesses.